After clinching a spot in the Conference USA title game a week ago here at Apogee Stadium, the North Texas Mean Green return home for one final time this 2017 season, and they got a little revenge on the mind as well as they welcome in the Army Black Knights for the third time in 13 months. These two teams will be meeting, and we'll talk about it next, coming up on Mean Green Game Day. For one final time, live outside Gate 4 here at Apogee Stadium. This is Mean Green Game Day as we'll take you up to kickoff between the North Texas Mean Green and the Army Black Knights once again for the third time in the past 13 months. Alongside the Game Day crew here up at the desk, Drake Lawson, Josh Conrad, Ashley Pickle. I'm your host, Kyle Yeomans. Thank you for joining us here on a very windy Saturday afternoon. It's beautiful out here though, and another chance for North Texas to get another home win, a chance to go undefeated at home here during the 2017 season, a feat that the Mean Green haven't done in decades. It'll be a lot of fun to watch. But guys, let's go back to that win over UTEP last week, 45-10, the final score, and that one a win that clinched North Texas a spot in the Conference USA title game in the Conference USA West Division title. So Drake, I'm going to start with you. What were your final thoughts on that game last week?
I mean, it's one of the greatest wins in program history. There's no other way to put it. I mean, winning a game like that to not only get yourself completely bowl eligible, to get yourself in a conference championship game in front of the third largest crowd at Apogee, the biggest crowd I've ever seen, to be able to get a victory like that, it's unbelievable what it will do for recruiting, what it will do for this program. That's just a huge win. Don't care how you get it. It was great that it was a blowout, but winning a game like that is big.
Yeah. And I was so nervous at the start of the game whenever we fumbled it and UTEP ran it back, because I said, look, we just have to show up to this game. This is an easy win. And then they take the lead, and I was like, oh man, I'll never be allowed on game day again. The school will ban me from talking. But we turned it around, and the coolest moment of the night was easily third quarter. I think it was 21-10. The crowd was rocking. The North Texas chant was going, and it was the loudest I've ever heard that chant. Bowl game from last year, any game from the time I've been here, it was the loudest I've ever heard it going, and the fans didn't want to stop. They kept going. The play started, and they kept going North Texas. And then we threw a touchdown, the pass to Rico Bussey. Kyle, you were trying to film it. I was like, oh, I should probably film this too. And then you got a touchdown as well. Yeah, I was jealous of your Snapchat story. But just to have that, it was such a cool moment. The vibe was so good. People were so happy just to see the celebration and joy around this team. It's amazing what's happened to this program in just 2 years.
Man, and I'll tell you what, standing on the home sideline, looking over at the student section, that was like a moment of victory in my heart, because we have said game after game that this team is producing. They are showing you what fans want to see. To see the fans actually react to that on a homecoming game, to come out and not only, I mean, this is a game we were supposed to win, and we blew them out. That was a good feeling as well. But I'll tell you what, from the start, they better be lucky that that game was against UTEP, because with how they came out here half asleep, they're lucky it was UTEP. You do that against Army, they're literally going to run all over you.
Now, talking about that slow start, let's get into that a little bit, because it's not the first time that North Texas has started slow this year. It's happened a couple different times, just inconsistency in terms of the team being able to put together 4 straight quarters of good football tonight. They're definitely going to need that, but is this something to worry about if you're North Texas and just not being able to get off to a quick start?
I don't think it's something to worry about because of what all entailed last game. You know, you're talking about a game that was for the conference championship berth, that was against a team like UTEP where you're expected to get a victory. I mean, Josh spoke of it a little bit, stepping off the bus. They were just supposed to win. Well, not so much, not with any team in the Conference USA. So, I mean, how much that was on, plus the third largest crowd at Apogee, the amount of pressure that was on that team, of course you're going to start off a little shaky, just like any team would start off with that much pressure on them. This is a different environment. This is against a team that you went against, again, in the heart of Dallas Bowl. You lost. There's a little bit of revenge factor there. This team's won 6 straight games. Everyone knows how good this team is. It's a completely different atmosphere, and you know, there's not as much pressure on North Texas to win this game.
I'll give you an answer. It's worrisome depending on who you play.
Okay.
When you're playing Rice, you can get off to whatever type of start you want. You have all day to come back on Rice. When you're playing a good team like an Army, like a Florida Atlantic, where we saw you cannot get behind in that, I think a lot of it can be due to there is a lot of young players on this team, a lot of sophomores. Your best players are sophomores and freshmen right now, all over this team. So I think it's just a maturity thing right now. I don't think it's too much to worry about. But when you're playing the better opponents is where you really have to get off to a good start. Got to get off to a good start today against Army, because if you don't, they will run all over you for 4 quarters long.
And see, I mean, talking about any sport really, I can't stand when teams just come in and they don't wake up, because sometimes you can't come back from that. And
No.
Can you come back on a UTEP or a Rice or a Charlotte or anybody like that? Yes, you should be able to. And if you're not, then you're really embarrassed for the rest of the game. But I mean, coming off a team like Army, like I said, they're 8-2. They're a good. This is one of the most exciting games in college football this weekend alone. You have to come out ready to go, and they're on their revenge game right now. This is a revenge tour for them. All of these players, like he said, they're freshmen, they're sophomores. Most all of them, they played in that bowl game last year, or they at least were there to watch it. They saw, we were so close. We went into double overtime, had a great game, didn't get that victory. They're coming into our house tonight. Apogee was packed. Hopefully it's packed again tonight. They better be ready to start from the beginning, and hopefully maybe we'll finally see that full 60-minute game that we have yet to see this entire season.
And they're definitely going to need it against an Army team that comes in 8-2. We'll go deeper into the X and O's of that one a little bit later on, but let's go back to that UTEP game real fast. And Drake, I want to ask you this question. In terms of winning and in terms of success, is this Seth Luttrell's biggest win and biggest achievement as a head coach for North Texas over the past 2 years? Because, I mean, getting into that Conference USA title game, that's no small feat.
I think it's this last week currently is his biggest achievement.
Yeah.
But if he goes and he wins the Conference USA championship, then that's his biggest achievement. So it just kind of depends on what game it is. I mean, every single time he's making a bigger achievement. Last year was making the bowl game. Every week, and he'll tell you this, it seems like is a bigger game. This week, he'll consider it the biggest game, trying to go undefeated, trying to beat a team that beat them in the bowl game last year. So each week is a bigger game for Seth Luttrell and a bigger game for this program.
I don't know what's going to happen the next 2 weeks, but last week was the biggest feat for me by far of the season, of whatever happens, because it gets you 3 extra hours on national television. It gets you eyeballs. It gets you maybe some recruits watching. Maybe they're not being recruited by North Texas. Maybe they're not looking at it, but I see those cool helmets. Those chrome helmets look kind of nice. I like this up-tempo offense. I like all the young guys who are getting to play. Maybe I want to go to North Texas now. It is free recruiting for 3 hours. It's just a program. It's just an advertisement for your university. You can take it off of football too. You talk about Miami last week having the big Saturday night football game. They had more grad school admissions than they'd had for like a previous month.
Yeah.
So what it gets you for the school and the football program alone, just getting that extra 3 hours, to me that's by far his biggest feat so far.
And then I think, obviously statistically, this was one of the most important. You're clinching that Conference USA berth into the championship, which they have never done in program history. Tonight you're going in looking at going 6-0 for the first time since the 1960s at home. That's huge. First time in Apogee Stadium history. But I'll tell you what, I think that what Drake said is so right. What I love about Seth Luttrell, what I love about this vibe that he's given to this new Denton team is the fact that every game is his most important game. He's not going to stop until they continue those wins and they continue that greatness. And that says so much about what he's brought to the table for New Denton.
Yeah, he's definitely changed the culture. We've talked about it throughout really the entire season here on Mean Green Game Day. We'll talk about that along with the growth of Mason Fine as the starting quarterback here for the Mean Green. We'll go into that, this Army North Texas matchup, and then coming up next on Mean Green Game Day, we'll talk about the college football playoff. Should it expand? Should it stay the same? We'll discuss it next here on Mean Green Game Day.
Hey, look, it's those guys.
Let's hit those pearly whites, man. Ooh, cute.
Are you good to try?
I'm fine.
Hey girl, what's the name? What's up? How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Sir, go and step out of the vehicle for me.
Yes, sir. See ya, buddy. Today, Sean's got a hearing. We'll see how it goes. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Listen. All it took was someone who would insist that I just try. Suddenly, everything was turned around because they judge you.
You tell them, I don't need this.
No one is going to understand.
Unless they've been through it, how can they?
Then one day you realize
You feel so hopeless.
I need help. I need help.
You feel so hopeless.
Then one day you realize
Unless they've been through it, how can they understand?
I don't need this.
No one's going to judge you.
suddenly everything was turned around because they insist that I just try.
All it took was someone who would just
Listen.
So now that we're back here at Mean Green Game Day outside Gate 4 at Apogee Stadium, a little bit of debate has been sparked over the last couple of years around the college football playoff. We're going to give our own opinions here. This college football playoff sits right now at 4 teams. This is a debate that's happened since they even switched the entire format. That why is it at 4 teams? Should it be 8? Should it be 16? Should it go back down to 2? What is the perfect marriage in terms of the college football playoff? Josh, I know you're very anxious to talk about this this topic and debate over it. What do you think? Should this college football playoff stay the same or should it expand?
I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a little bit. I think that's what it's called. All right, so let's say we decide to expand. You know, let's go to 8 teams. Everybody wants more. More is better, right? All right, so let's start. We have number 5 right now, the current college football rankings. Number 5 is Wisconsin. If Wisconsin wins out, they're already in that 4-team system, right? We can all agree on that?
Yeah.
So why would we need a 5th team there? Let's go to Auburn, number 6. 2-loss team. So we say, okay, maybe they'll beat Georgia, maybe they'll beat Alabama, maybe they'll be in the playoff. But a 2-loss team who's already lost to LSU. LSU lost to Troy this year. So do we really think a college football national champion should be a team that lost to an LSU team that's pretty bad this year? So maybe we don't need that 6th team. Because right now, 5 and 6, those are the 2 biggest points of the 4-team playoff.
Okay.
We need that 5th and 6th team. Well, maybe you don't. 7 is Georgia. They lost to Auburn, who's ranked ahead of them. So they've already played. Why would you need an expanded system when those teams have already played? We go down to 8, Notre Dame. We saw the Miami game last week. Dominated. And they lost to Georgia. So they've lost to 2 teams ahead of them. So that's just 5 through 8. That's who you would add into this new college football playoff. All teams that have either lost to top teams ahead of them or have pretty bad losses or are going to get in. And so if you go 5 through 8, there's just going to be the debate for, oh, we need 9, we need 10. Well, 9 and 10 is Ohio State, who's already lost to an Oklahoma team who's in the top 4. Penn State's already lost to Ohio State. The greatest part of college football is that we have this great regular season where every game matters, where it's an elimination game. If you go to 8 teams, did the rest of the season not matter at all?
So it's safe to say you want it still at 4 teams right now?
Stay at 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I could not agree more, because even if we're not even looking at the specifics of this year, think about, I mean, ever since they've had the college football playoffs, when you increase those teams, so say, I mean, obviously Alabama has been dominant in college football for so long now.
Definitely.
They're a very hard team to beat. I think having 4 teams in there is the perfect amount, because it's not where it's just the top 2 teams and then they battle it out like it used to be. Now it gives those 4th seeded, the 3rd seeded teams a chance to go in there and cause some ruckus. You know, I mean, the 2 seed, 3 seed game is always probably one of the best games of the year anyway. So I mean, it gives the chance for there to not just be those dominant teams every single year, but it also makes it to where not everyone's getting in and we're having to do these whole week-long tournaments full of games, you know. And I think that's, and I mean, how many times is a 6th seed or a 7th seed or an 8th seed or however low we go down really going to be able to come in, play a first seeded Alabama or a first seeded, you know, someone like that, mostly Alabama, honestly, and even compare, you know, having the 4th and 1 is enough of a tough game anyway. So I think that it should stay 4. It would be pointless and a waste of almost everyone's time and planning and committees and all of this stuff to even add in any more teams.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to disagree.
Okay.
And I won't say it's a waste of time, and I disagree with both of you guys, because I'm a guy who looks at money. And if you put this college New Year's Day, whatever, they do these pointless, what is it, Fiesta Bowl or whatever the New Year's 6 it is.
Yeah.
If you have these pointless games, no one cares about them. Everyone else on New Year's Day is doing something else with their family because this game's not even going for the national championship.
Yeah.
They hardly want to watch the games that are going for the national championship. So if you open up this games and you say it's a waste of time, it's not a waste of time if it's putting money in schools' pockets, which that's exactly what it would do.
Yeah.
It would give more revenue, more people would care about it, sponsors would pay higher for it if it's actually a game worthwhile, if it's actually a game that's going to get you in the championship. And Josh, you're talking about these teams, oh, they lost to so-and-so, oh, they lost to so-and-so, so who cares? Well, look at the teams that are in the top 4 right now. Almost all of them have lost a game at this point.
So we should go back to 2.
Clemson's lost against Syracuse. No, I'll tell you why.
Okay, Clemson lost to Syracuse.
Hang on. Clemson lost to Pittsburgh last year and won the national championship.
That's
You
fair.
think that the team, you said, oh, we shouldn't have a team win the national championship because they lost to a team that lost to Troy. They lost to Pittsburgh. How many teams did Pittsburgh lose
And then
last
here
year?
I am. I feel
Pittsburgh's a
like
pretty bad loss.
so old school. Why do we always have to involve money and politics and stuff in sports? Why can't it
Because
just
the
be for the
world
love of the
revolves
game
around money.
anymore? I
And
know
it
that's
is,
how
and
it
it
is,
is.
but
But
Lord, just
you
let
can't
it be for the
you
love
can't
of
sit here and
football.
say a 7 seed. You said a 7 seed would never win. I don't know if they wouldn't win.
Yeah, that's
we don't
very
know.
true.
The first year, number 4 won. Ohio State went 1, and I think TCU could have beat all of those teams.
Yeah.
And TCU got gypped because they weren't a part of
And
it.
so did Baylor.
open it up to 8.
Thank you.
Open
Thank
it up
you.
to 8.
Get out of here with your 0-8 or 0-9.
Give these Big 12 teams a chance because everyone wants to talk about how the Big 12 doesn't have a chance. They're beating each other up in their own conference.
Yeah.
If TCU could have a chance in this top 8, they may win a game.
Now-
I'm not saying they win the national championship, but they could win a game. They could beat Bama.
How about,
I really do think so.
How about this? In terms of if you were to expand, instead of going 1 straight through 8, how about 5 at-large bids from a conference, from the Power 5 conferences, then you add in 3 at-large bids? Josh, you're shaking your head. Is that just not your,
Okay,
your
because then
perfect idea?
in a college football championship game, you have one division is really good, one division's not good. 5 lost team somehow wins. The best part about college football is national champions mean something. College football is the one sport where you can think back to the great USC teams, the great Texas teams, the great LSU, and well, LSU had 2 losses, they weren't great. The 03 LSU was good. All those great national championship teams and the great seasons they had. College football has such a good regular season. It is the only regular season where you can honestly say every football game matters. Have you watched an NFL game lately? It is awful. The NFL regular season could not matter less. These games are terrible. That's why the NFL is failing right now, because the product is terrible.
I don't know if the product's terrible. There's
The
a
product
lot
is
going
all.
on.
Have you watched a
There's
Thursday
a
night
lot
football
going on
game?
there.
The product is terrible because the games don't mean anything. College football is amazing. It's why watching Virginia and Miami this morning actually meant something. I mean, Virginia-Miami is not a powerhouse matchup, but it means something because there's only 4 teams that get in.
And he's right, too. And think about any other sport, honestly. How many regular season games do baseball players have? How many regular season games do you have
Also,
in basketball? That's what makes
hang on,
college
I'm going to cut you
football
guys off
beautiful.
real quick because college football is also the one with the most historic fact that national champions are always questioned.
It's
You're
very
gonna talk
true.
about the USC team. Talk about Florida. When they won, they were questioned, oh, why didn't they go against one of these other teams? Or when TCU won the Rose Bowl, everybody was like, oh, TCU should have been in that
I
national
don't think
championship.
anyone
Should have
thought
had a chance.
TCU should have been in the national title.
I mean, when they won that title, you thought they may have.
I didn't think that.
I
I thought Auburn and
Then
and Oregon
for
were very
instance,
deserving.
Then you get a matchup between Penn State and USC last year, where those two teams went back and forth, and I would have liked to see one of those teams go against Bama or Clemson.
Win all of your games then, and you're fine. Okay, this college football is great because a September matchup means just as much as a November matchup.
But at the same time, there's so much question marks around a national champion.
So
You're
win
never
all
going to
your
have an
games.
outright
But then that's
champion
why the
unless you open
playoffs
it
are
up
great
more.
because instead of just
It's
having
4
the
teams,
2
though.
teams, you can add
You
in
need more.
another 2 teams.
There's too many teams who are still question marks. So especially a year like this when there's all these 1-loss teams and 2-loss teams, you need more teams to validate that champion.
So don't lose. Just go undefeated.
Here's
Easier
the
said
thing.
than done.
That's why it should be. It shouldn't be
It's the
easy to win a
beauty
national
of it.
championship.
So even with all of this being said, this is a debate, and there's a reason why we put this on the rundown this week. It gets very heated very quickly, and it's a debate that will go on even if they do end up expanding this playoff. But when we come back here on Mean Green Game Day, we're going to give our Conference USA awards for Game Day out for this regular season for these games that mean something, in the words of Josh Conrad. We'll talk about that coming up next on the other side of the break here on NTTV Sports.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Hey, Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
The wind has died down just a little bit, at least for the moment, but tonight North Texas and the Army Black Knights will be letting it fly. With that being said, guys, I have a quick question for you. Which one's going to be more, people up here at the desk or Army pass attempts tonight? Because Army's going to run the ball all game long over North Texas. But with that being said, I do want to get in here to the Conference USA awards that we're going to give out here at the desk. And Drake, I'm going to start with you. In Player of the Year on the offensive side of the ball, who's been most outstanding for you in terms of the Conference USA individually this year?
I think as far as offensively, I really think, I know I'm being probably biased here, but it's Jeffrey Wilson. Yeah. I mean, he is the reason that this team has been able to have success on the ground and honestly through the air. Because if he's not running the ball well, Mason Fine has struggled finding places to throw the ball. I know he was out that one game. We had Nick Smith really step up against Old Dominion. But Jeffrey Wilson is the reason this team rolls and is the reason this team is so successful on the ground.
Well, I just want to clarify, first of all, the wind has not died.
Yeah, it picked right back up.
I'm so cold up here. I haven't been able to stop shivering since we started the show. Player of the Year on offense is Devin Singletary out of FAU. 22 touchdowns this year. The guy has had 100 yards in every game except for his first two. 1,360 yards. He's the best player on the best team in the conference. Let's not overcomplicate things here. Devin Singletary has been the greatest player in this conference so far.
And you know, A plus B equals C. I have both of them down. I'm glad I'm not on the committee to choose between the two of them, and here's why. Devin Singletary, like you said, he is the leader of that FAU offense. You know, he really does. He gets it done. They're the only two running backs in the in Conference USA that average over 6 yards a carry. I mean, just every single carry that they have. The reason I like Jay Will for it, obviously, I mean, go Mean Green. You can't deny the fact about that. But two, Jay Will still puts up the same numbers as Devin Singletary, and he gets probably half the touches that he does.
Definitely
I mean, we've got Jalen Guyton, we've got Michael Lawrence, we've got all of these receivers that have come up and have had amazing games. Jalen Guyton having over 100-yard games, multiple games. So the fact that Jay Will being probably still the leading person on our offense, but being able to work with the rest of the team, that's amazing. He puts up the same numbers at that. So I'm glad I'm not on the committee for that one.
I'm surprised I'm not hearing any Mason Fine mentions in there. The guy leads the conference in passing. He's 16th in the country in passing yards. He's been outstanding for the Mean Green, but we'll talk about him
We're not
in a little
homers,
bit anyways.
Kyle.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. But with that being said, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Who's been really the stopper on that other side that's really been a hammer for some of these Conference USA teams?
I'm actually probably going to take a page out of Josh Conrad's book and say Marcus Davenport. With UTSA, I mean, the guy has been a beast as far as getting to the quarterback. I mean, how many sacks does he have? You know it off the top of your head.
Well, I think you took a book out of my netbook by looking down at my laptop. I'll carry on. Marcus Davenport has 7.5 total sacks this year, 14.5 tackles for loss. It's tough between him and Brian Womack from Rice. But Marcus Davenport on the UTSA defense hasn't been the problem for them this year. The defense has been solid almost every game. He's been the lead guy on one of the better defenses in the conference. Davenport's been a freak this year.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt he's over here looking at my notes because he pointed at me when he said Ryan Womack for Rice. There has been no highlight in Rice's season all year. If they're gonna give him one thing, might as well give him the Defensive Player of the Year. He's got 8 sacks. He's carried that defense. Any of the stops that they've put up, he's been the main guy going. If you're gonna give Rice something, give it to Womack. He earned something.
Now, from off the field to the sideline, Coach of the Year, and guys, I think we might know where this is headed. We're Mean Green Game Day, all sorts of, I guess, praise around Seth Luttrell. Is he your Coach of the Year, or is it somebody else such as like a Lane Kiffin?
Yeah, no, it's Lane Kiffin.
Okay.
And if anyone else says Seth Luttrell, they're wrong. I mean, it's the bottom line. Seth Luttrell's done a fantastic job, and he continues to do a great job.
Yeah.
But Lane Kiffin destroyed him. And I don't know what's going to happen in the conference championship, but Lane Kiffin also, it's his first year.
Yeah.
And he took over a 3-9 program. He took over a awful Florida Atlantic program and turned them around completely. So it's Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is Coach of the Year. And honestly, I mean, you better watch out because he may take over one of these big-time conference teams. You never know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start having to like rotate my laptop away. He's taking all my stats.
That one's easy.
I'll go with Lane Kiffin. What he's done there, he started as a punchline. I was excited because we were going to be able to make Lane Kiffin jokes all year, but nothing too crazy's happened down there in Miami area. Lane Kiffin easily taking them over, but a little shout out to Bill Clark and what he's done with UAB to not have a football program, and now they're going to a bowl game. They're playing Florida today, which maybe they'll pull off an upset there. I'll go Lane Kiffin, though. It's pretty easy.
I'm going Bill Clark. As much as you say Lane Kiffin, yes, he has produced a great amount. But Bill Clark at UAB, they didn't have a program. He brought this program back. They're already bowl eligible. I think they were the first team that claimed bowl eligibility. On top of their second place in Conference USA West, we had the tiebreaker over them. We won outright, but still would have had the tiebreaker over them. Lane Kiffin was at Bama. He knows what it's like to run a good program. He came in, he turned that program around. Credit to him, obviously. He's a fantastic coach. He's done a great job. I've been really impressed. But Bill Clark being able to pick up something from nothing, being able to start recruiting completely fresh, and really just making a name for UAB, he deserves it.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm glad you brought him up because that was the guy who I had circled in Bill Clark to just what he has done with that UAB program. It's a heartfelt story. Everybody loves the fact that UAB football's back and they're bowl eligible, and it's a lot of fun to watch the Blazers this year. Now, going on from there, let's go to the most improved team this year. We've talked about a UAB who didn't even have a program. We've talked about FAU, talked about North Texas. Drake, who do you have as your most improved team this year?
Let's go actually UAB. I mean, I think the team who didn't even have a program a couple of years ago, they're now bowl eligible. I mean, they played North Texas hard here. We won by a field goal, as Josh called it that week. But,
Trevor Moore.
Yeah, the fact that we barely beat that team when they didn't even have a program a couple of years ago, that's pretty fantastic. Way to go, UAB. I think they are the most improved team.
Can I change my offensive player from whoever I picked to Trevor Moore?
Yeah, you can, I guess. That's the special teams player of the year.
I'll take North Texas because it's not just the wins and the losses, but I think the way this team looks. The offense, it may be the same offense they were running last year, but it looks completely different. Everything is crisper. Everything just looks better. I just think North Texas is by far the most improved team.
And then I'm going to go, I have FAU and Marshall both down. And like I said, I didn't give obviously enough credit probably to Lane Kiffin on that last one, but he really has. And when I look at improvement, I didn't put UAB because I look at an improvement from last season to this season. So, obviously UAB didn't have the program. Obviously that's a huge improvement to go bowl eligible after that, but FAU and Marshall, they were both 2-6 in conference. They were both 3-9 on the year. Now they're 1-2 in CUSA East. I mean, FAU is 6-0 and Marshall's 4-2. They really talk about improvement from one set to the other, complete 360, complete flip around. Those two teams have had that complete flip around.
So we've talked about a lot of positives in the Conference USA. Now let's turn it around a little bit. Who's been the most disappointing team for this year? And you look at Southern Miss and La Tech and Western Kentucky, just to name a few, but were there any other teams that were really highly touted heading into this year that just didn't live up to the hype?
I mean, I think it's Western Kentucky. I mean, you talk about a team that's just been a powerhouse in Conference USA for years. When the Mean Green got their schedule this year, they thought, oh, that's great. We don't have to play Western Kentucky. We don't have to play Middle Tennessee State, another team that's failed. And we get to play Florida Atlantic. That's awesome. We're going to do great this year.
Little did we know.
Yeah, we still did great, but Florida Atlantic put up 800 yards of offense on us, and we would have probably preferred to play Western Kentucky. So it was a crazy year this year. Western Kentucky, in my opinion, though, they've always been just a dominating team, and to see them fall like they have this year is just really sad, and I think that's the most disappointing team.
Yeah.
and they had a big win last night to get into a bowl game. But I'm going to take UTSA as my most disappointing team. This is a team I thought was going to win the Western Division this year. They had such high expectations, and for them it's been tough because they've lost 4 games by a combined 13 points, if I did my math correctly, which is always kind of a struggle. But 13 points, and this game was such a tough loss for them. This program, after they beat Baylor on the road, we all thought, man, this team might go 12-0. I think Herb Street on College Game Day said they're going to go 12-0. So Frank Wilson, it looked like he was going to be gone after this year. He's probably now going to stay there. UTSA has been really disappointing, especially this second half of the year.
Yeah, from last year to this year, I'm going to say that it's WKU. I mean, they were so good for so long. They had their quarterback all 4 years. They did really well. Then it comes out they didn't do anything this year. But then from the start of the season till now, it's definitely UTSA. I mean, they started off the year, they beat Baylor, which now we realize it's not that big of a deal. Kyle.
Not at all. Sorry, guys.
But, you know, I think that those are both teams that just really have been disappointing.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that hasn't been disappointing, the most improved pregame show in Conference USA, definitely being Green Game Day. Just going to put that out there. But when we come back here on Game Day, we'll talk about Mason Fine and what he's meant to this North Texas football program and the improvement that he's seen from year 1 to year 2 as the starting quarterback for the Mean Green right here on North Texas Television.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's an epic snuggler. She's so comforting. She's so loving. Toast makes me laugh. When I walked into the shelter, I knew right then that she was special.
The biggest reasons around the success that this North Texas Mean Green have had this year is the sophomore quarterback in the play of Mason Fine out of Locust Grove, Oklahoma, a young guy coming in, a little bit undersized is what people said about him. Well, he continues to prove people wrong on the field and have another chance tonight to do so and become 6-0 at home here in the 2017 season. With more on that, let's take a quick look.
Again, UNT was the only school to give me a scholarship, so that just, you know, that put in me that the coaches had faith in me, and they were the only ones that took that shot. So I'm forever in debt to those guys just because they were the only coaching staff to take that opportunity on me.
Mason Fine, the 5'11 quarterback out of Locust Grove, Oklahoma, has seen vast improvement in his game from year 1 to year 2 as the North Texas Mean Green starting quarterback. He plays with a passion that's unmatched, and despite being called undersized, he's been proving people wrong here in 2017.
You know, the biggest difference individually wise, you know, out there when I'm playing, is probably just the speed of the game has really slowed down. I feel more comfortable with the offense as a whole, so when I go out there I feel comfortable and confident, and that's pretty much it. Just understanding the offense, understanding what the defense is trying to take away, and knowing where to exploit those guys. And you know, teammates done a great job at even improving, so everyone's improved. I think everyone is more confident and comfortable in year 2 of this offense.
Mason Fine, 8 out of 8 passing to begin this game.
Like 2013 quarterback Derek Thompson, Mason Fine has brought success back to the Mean Green. He just says it's a part of the job.
Just do my job. Just we're really making routine plays. You know, like Coach Harrell just says, you know, just make routine plays. But really, you know, the coaches do a great job at preparing us throughout the week and giving us the looks that the opponent gives us. So really, you know, when I go out there on game day, you know, we already seen a bunch of the looks. So now I just go out there and I do what we've done in practice. And I don't try to do too much. I just give it to our playmakers' hands.
And that he has. Fine ranked 16th nationally in passing yards. He's the leader of one of the best offenses in the nation, and some are calling him the potential Conference Player of the Year. But for Fine, there's still a long way to go for a turnaround and a new Denton.
And I think the administration has really brought in that, you know, bringing that chip on our shoulder and proving people wrong and just having that never quit mentality. And really, that's just around our athletics. That's really what, you know, all the athletes are thinking. And also, you know, our fan base, our students, have really kind of bought in, and the programs are really growing. You can see that with the fan bases growing, the student section. You know, on Saturdays you can see that growing. You know, the attitude and the new Denton culture is really changing around here. You can see it in all of our programs, all of our athletic programs, of how they're just, you know, they're winning championship games. They're not winning games, you know, they're winning championship. You know, they're having success, and I think that just comes with the mindset.
That's a mindset that has led Mason Fine to be a vocal but humble leader on the field, even when asked what his role has been in this North Texas turnaround.
I really want to be the, you know, the best representative I can be. You know, I want to set a good example for people to come. So really, that's kind of what I bring. I just want to make sure, you know, I lead by example.
Through all that's changed from year 1 to year 2, Fine is still that same kid trying to prove people wrong.
My whole life I've been overcoming odds. You know, all the odds were stacked against me growing up. You know, my goals were always to play Division I football, and that was a big dream of mine. And people would always say, you know, you're small in stature, and you know, you just don't have the physical attributes. So, you know, I just want, you know, people to remember me as always chasing my dreams and overcoming adversity. And with that, you know, my hard work and determination, you know, putting in the film, and just my hard work on and off the field.
So in 2 years in the offense here at North Texas, Mason Fine has already made a mark in terms of what he's been able to bring to the table. He sits 7th in career passing yards in just 2 seasons at the helm for the Mean Greens, and he could break the single-season passing yards record tonight with 291 yards. And guys, as we get back into this discussion about Mason Fine, first, Drake, I want to go to you. What does he mean to this program and what Seth Luttrell brings offensively and how Mason Fine is able to execute it?
I mean, I think he means a lot. It's Mason's attitude is what makes him so special.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the physical abilities aren't necessarily there. I mean, you got to point it out. It's tough to say, but the guy's short. The guy's small. I mean, he's not what you would expect from a quarterback on a D1 school.
Yeah.
But his heart is bigger than anyone's out there, and he's got a giant heart. Now, I think being in an offense with Jeffrey Wilson, being in an offense with Graham Harrell and Seth Luttrell, like game planning with you at quarterback, yeah, I mean, you know, that's a pretty nice place for Mason Fine, and he's got a lot of help, and he's the first guy to say it. That's what I like. I love hearing from Mason because he's the first one to say all the credit to the offensive line, all the credit to the receivers to go make plays, all the credit to Jeffrey. You know, he's the first guy to say it. It's his heart, though. That's what makes him so special.
I don't think it's any surprise he's been this good. It was easy to call last year that Mason Fine would come in and be the guy. I think one of us on the desk, I'm not going to name names, but someone up here might have said, oh, Mason Fine's the next great quarterback. But this guy, it's what he brings on the field. This offense was horrible last year at times. It was awful to watch. There were stretches where we really relied on a defense to get a score. And so for him, the passing, the timing, the connections with these receivers, these young receivers who are going to be here for the next 2 years with him, speaks tremendously.
Now, you may say you were the guy, but I do have to say Ashley was one of the first at NTTV in general to say Mason was the guy. I just got to point that out.
He will. I mean, he's proven right. That's all I can say.
This side of the desk is smart.
What he wanted, what I wanted him to do, and he's excelled past what any expectations I could have even hoped for.
Well, he can do something tonight that hasn't been done in decades, and that's finish an undefeated season at home. We'll preview the matchup between Army and North Texas coming up on the other side of the break. You're watching Mean Green Game Day on North Texas Television.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To Find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Visit discovertheforest.org.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
How's your hair? Is it pretty? Daddy. It's pretty. Maybe I'll say that. Maybe I'll say that.
Last week, North Texas had a big win over UTEP to decide a spot in the Conference USA title game. They were able to defeat the UTEP Miners 45-10. Well, this week, it's a whole different story as Jeffrey Wilson and company need to take down the Army Black Knights and a chance to go undefeated here at home in the 2017 season. As we welcome you back here to the desk at Mean Green Game Day, just outside Gate 4 at Apogee Stadium. Drake Lawson, Josh Conrad, Ashley Pickle. I'm Kyle Yeomans, and guys, this is a matchup that North Texas has been very accustomed to over the past 13 months. The third time they'll meet, and it may not be the last this season, with a chance of maybe going to the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth, a bowl game that Army has already accepted an invitation to. So this might not be the last time that we see Army. Hopefully that's not the case, because Army's 8-2. They've had an outstanding season so far, and a big reason for that is the triple option. Ashley, I'm going to start with you down on the end. What does Army bring to the table and what they're able to do running the football?
Oh, you're not kidding. I mean, the triple option is probably the biggest part of it. When you run the ball every single play, you need those triple options. You need to mix it up some. You need to give, I mean, literally what it means, triple options. You have 3 different places to run, 3 different chances to give it to someone. And I'll tell you what, I don't think they have a quarterback. Bradshaw is a running back. That man is a running back. He's 11th in the nation in rushing yards. He averages 122.8 yards per game rushing. That is not a quarterback. That's a running back. So I mean, this defensive line for North Texas is going to have to play their butts off. I mean, really, they have to be ready. And on top of that, I mean, you've got to have those cornerbacks ready to squeeze on in, but you also, the safeties cannot fall asleep in the back because they will throw it. They aren't scared to throw one of those long bombs. With the wind today, who knows if anyone's going to be throwing anything. But I think that's the biggest thing they're going to have to watch out for is the rush, which everyone knows when you go into playing Army.
It's discipline because it's an option team, and so there's so many kind of misdirection type of plays, so many possible pitches to who they could go to. It's all about staying disciplined. As a D lineman, this has to be your most disciplined game. As a linebacker, you have to do it. Your fits have to be good. Everything has to stay disciplined. You know they're going to run the ball, and you know it's going to be tough and gritty. It's cold out here. It's not going to feel good the first time you hit somebody. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt your helmet. Maybe I was just a wimp when I played football. I didn't like cold games.
That's what I'm getting out of this, honestly.
But also, you feel kind of cool because you get to put the sleeves on, you got the leggings, you get all swagged out up there, and so you get to feel a little cool. But it's all about get off to a good start, hit them fast, because the hits are going to hurt early, but if you can get accustomed to that, stay disciplined on defense. Army brings in an underrated defense themselves. They only give up 18.6 points per game, and they're 40% on third down defense. And so when we've lost in some games this year, it's because we cannot convert third downs. So that's going to be a big key to this game, our offense versus their defense.
I don't think Army cares about this win one bit. Because they're not throwing the ball.
No.
They're not going to. Especially in this environment with the Mean Green's rush defense, they're not throwing the ball. They're going to run it, and they're going to run it probably pretty well. It's a fact of can you stop them when you need to, which is a problem they had in that Heart of Dallas Bowl. When it came down to the short 4th down situations or short 3rd down situations, they could never get that stop. It was always like Army got that 2 or 3 yards they needed. They just slowly moved the ball down the field and got that victory. So, I mean, Army, that's what they do. They just run the ball, and you know it's coming, and sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it.
The thing is, they don't need to pass the ball, though. They're number 2 in the nation in terms of rushing yards per game. They score more rushing touchdowns than anybody else in the entire country.
Their quarterback has 122 yards per game. Are you kidding me?
It's outstanding what they're able to do in terms of the ground game.
I will say, you said we don't want to see them in the Armed Forces Bowl, which I understand. You don't want to see the same team, but I mean, if we do see them, this will become one of the greatest rivalries, depending on how this game goes. Because we beat Army at Army, then we go into double overtime in the Heart of Dallas Bowl, which was awesome, an amazing game, probably one of the better bowl games of the season last year, of the bowl game season last year. So if we have another great matchup again today, who wouldn't want to see them in Fort Worth? I mean, that would be a great game. They're a great team, and it's great to have two teams like this go at each other.
And home field advantage.
I hope we don't have to play them again. It's good we've already clinched the division, because it's tough after you play Army. Trying to adjust to a normal type of offense. We look at it last year after we faced Army, we lost 3 straight games last year. We gave up 31, 45, and 45 points. So it's good that we've taken care of all the business we need to, and this is a game where we don't have to be fully ready to go next week. We've already taken care of business.
Now, to be fair, though, Army played dumb against us. They threw the ball.
I
don't think they're throwing the ball today.
They turned over the ball 7 times during that matchup last year, and I think since then, Army's just kind of said, no, we're going to keep it on the ground. We're not going to turn the ball over, especially in the air. If anything's going to happen, it's going to be on the ground. But you look at this North Texas team, won 3 straight games, as we've got some Army fans behind us as well. But they're definitely energetic. They're ready to go. But this is a North Texas team that's won 3 straight games. They're on a roll. Then now they come back home for one final time this year. What would it mean for this North Texas team to win their final game at home this year, end up 6-0 at Apogee Stadium, and defend their home turf?
It's exactly what you think it is. I mean, it's huge. It's undefeated at home. Who doesn't want to go undefeated at home? Especially when you're a team like North Texas trying to establish a culture under Seth Luttrell. To be able to add that to this amazing season we've already had, it would just be tremendous. And to beat an Army team you guys got beat in a bowl game with last year, I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that. So, I mean, this would be a huge victory for Seth Luttrell. And like he'd say, it'd probably be his biggest victory yet, just like he says every game is.
It's big for the fans here, because you think about it, we're probably not going to get to host the conference title game. It's probably going to be somewhere in Florida. The bowl game, we don't know where it's going to be, if it's going to be local, if we're going to have to travel. So for a lot of people today, this is their last time seeing this football team. So it's big for the mindset you put in, maybe even for next year. Fan involvement coming back after this year, keeping the good kind of momentum going with what we have right now with the crowds. So it's big, I think, for the fans just to see this team one last time, and also for these seniors. These seniors have been through a lot. They came in right after the Heart of Dallas Bowl, where we won a game, had a 9-4 season, and they kind of saw the decline of the program. They went through the last 2 years of Dan McCarney, and they've had this kind of new Denton be infused through them. It's a big day for these seniors who don't get celebrated with all the great young talent we have, but a big day for these seniors who have stuck it out these past 4 years.
I was to say, this is the last time that many of these fans are going to see Jeffrey Wilson on the floor, or on the court. Field. What sport are we talking
Not
about?
Basketball season just yet, Pickle.
But he's such a good guy. He brings so much energy. We talked about him all year. He has really led this team, and to see him for the last time, and on top of what I said earlier, this is their revenge game. I don't care if you say that this is, a game that, okay, if we win, if we don't, whatever, you're right. We've clinched. We've gotten to the point that we need to get at. This is a big game for them, because they went up to West Point last year. They forced 7 turnovers. They got an unbelievable win that many of us didn't get to see. Then when we go to the Heart of Dallas Bowl, it's a double overtime game. The crowd was amazing at that bowl game. You're hoping to get that win, and it didn't quite make it. To get this win, to get those 6 victories for the first time since 1968, we would go undefeated at home, to get the first undefeated home season in Apogee Stadium. I mean, this is huge, absolutely huge game for the Mean Green.
Yeah, definitely. So you look on the defensive side, and they've had some success over the last couple games. They held La Tech to 23 points, and then, of course, UTEP, not necessarily the most scary offense in the entire nation, but they held them to 10. I think this defense really needs to step up tonight. You talked about having to slow down the run. I think that's one of the biggest keys that we're going to see tonight if North Texas is going to end up winning this ball game. But when we come back, let's predict some of the top matchups in college football tonight. We'll be joined at the desk by Dandy Colleen, our special guest here on Mean Green Game Day, coming up on the other side of the break here on NTTV Sports.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to savethefood.com.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
We are just under 70 minutes to kick off here at Apogee Stadium. The North Texas Mean Green and the Army Black Knights meeting for the third time in the past 13 months. A meeting that North Texas is extremely excited about for a chance to go undefeated at home. We're extremely excited to have Dandy Colleen, the executive sports producer at CBS 11, up here at the desk. Dandy, how you doing today?
Doing well. It's brisk. I like it. You know, good tailgate crowd. I'm ready. I'm ready for some football.
I'm not
Let's
sure
go.
how you're up here without a jacket on because it's a little
Well, it's
chilly.
not cold yet.
I had to put my gloves on midway through, man.
Jimmy Johnson said to his players, former Cowboys head coach, let the mind fool the body. Let the mind fool the body. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Definitely
Let the mind fool the body.
My mind hasn't been working.
Come on, you got to be strong.
We haven't had it working on our side just yet because I'm freezing up here. But let's pick some of these top matchups. We'll get into the North Texas one in just a little bit. But first off, let's start in the Conference USA. A couple matchups out of the CUSA today. Starting off in Florida, a big one between FIU and Florida Atlantic. The Owls hosting that one. I have Florida Atlantic coming out on top. Lane Kiffin's going to clinch a spot in the Conference USA title game. We'll be playing the Owls on December 2nd. Drake, who you have?
Yeah, they're playing in Boca Raton this weekend, and we'll be playing in Boca Raton in a couple of weekends. I think Florida Atlantic gets the job done. Lane Kiffin submits a great first year, and I don't think he's done yet. I mean, we'll see what happens in the conference championship. North Texas, I don't know. That'll be a great game, but that's a couple of weeks from now. I think Florida Atlantic locks it up right here.
Do I pick who I want to win or who I think will win?
No kidding, right? It's always a struggle.
Well, I'm not going to do that, though. I'm going to pick who I want to win, and that's Florida International. Let's see if Butch Davis can put something. I know there's no reason they should or will win, but I want to see Butch Davis, former Cowboys defensive coordinator, get the job done against Lane Kiffin.
Well, there you go.
You said you're an executive sports producer?
Now he's going to question it.
That's a great pick. I'm taking FIU big here.
He's looking for internships
It's a great
over
pick.
here.
Well done.
Yeah, excellent pick there. Butch Davis, watch out for him today. Don't forget, he set up Miami for that national title run. I'm rolling with FIU.
And, okay, if I was going with who I wanted, definitely FIU. But FAU, like, they're looking to clinch the Conference USA Championship tonight. They already clinched bowl eligibility. They're looking to stay undefeated throughout the regular season, which they have Charlotte next week. That's a UTEP game for us, almost a guaranteed win. They're going to come out. Lane Kiffin is hungry right now, and he's going to make sure that FAU team gets done what they need to get done.
It's almost guaranteed that North Texas is going to be playing in Boca Raton. Florida Atlantic would have to drop this game and that game next week against Charlotte. Yes, fingers crossed. Let's hope the 49ers and the Panthers can get something done, so that way we do have a game here at Apogee Stadium. Moving on, though, Marshall at UTSA. Marshall, a team that North Texas skipped on the schedule this year. UTSA, of course, are in-state rivals. They're down in the Alamo Dome battling it out. UTSA, well, I picked them last week to beat UAB. That didn't happen at home, so I'm gonna learn from my mistakes. Marshall's gonna win this game, and I don't think it's gonna be close. UAB's been reeling. And so it's going to be definitely something different this week, and I think Marshall's going to win it.
Yeah, UTSA has been struggling lately. I mean, they've been losing games at home. They've been losing games on the road. They're at home this week. I don't think they beat Marshall. Marshall's a really good team this year. They've had an incredible turnaround since last year. I think Marshall comes out with a victory.
Yeah, for UTSA, the whole season has been 98 yards and 57 seconds. Isn't that right?
That's very true. Very true.
They've not been the same ever since that game here at Apogee Stadium. I'll pick Marshall to win.
All right, I was going to copy all of your picks, but this is business right now. UTSA is going to win this game. They have a new athletic director, Lisa Campos, right now. So there's some good vibes around there. I've kind of had a tiny bit of an analyst crush on UTSA this year. I thought they were better than they have been.
Okay.
I think they're going to pull it out today. Marshall's very quietly 7-3, so kind of an underrated team. I think UTSA wins close today.
Marshall was my most improved, and UTSA was my most disappointing. So I think it's obvious I have to pick the Thundering Herd here. And I mean, not only between the whole teams. I'll tell you what, Marshall's quarterback Chase Litton, got to see him play here last year. Phenomenal player, really. He's very impressive. I mean, he's very agile. He's strong. He has good size. I expect him to come in tonight. UTSA's been on a 2-game lose streak. I don't think there's any way that the Thundering Herd isn't going to be able to pull this one off.
And now as we move from the Conference USA into the SEC, we've got a matchup with a couple of teams that have some coaching issues, one of which just completely dismantled at the coaching position, and then the other one's playing Ole Miss, and the other one is Texas A&M. So Texas A&M, Ole Miss tonight. Kevin Sumlin trying to save his job. This is the first time, I think, in Mean Green Game Day history, I'm going to pick the Aggies on the road in Oxford. I think Texas A&M is going to end up winning this ball game.
I think Sumlin's job comes to an end after today. I think
wow.
Ole Miss, with that crowd behind them, I don't see how A&M can move the ball. I mean, they've got a real struggling time moving the ball on offense. On defense, they're not much better. A&M's struggling this year, and they're going to continue to struggle. Ole Miss will win.
I think that's well said, but I disagree. I'm going to go with the freshman quarterback, Kellen Mond.
Yep.
A&M back against the walls, wounded Aggie, if you will. I think the Aggies win and try to extend Sumlin one more week.
Yeah.
My plan to pick all the same games.
The internship's not happening now, Josh.
Yeah, that's all out of the. I'm taking Ole Miss. This is the game where we find out, do these players want to play for Kevin Sumlin next year? We talked about, we'll go back to last year with Charlie Strong in Texas. Everyone said, oh, these players love Charlie. They want Charlie to be here. Did you watch the Kansas game? You don't want that coach to be here if you lose to Kansas. I think it's the same thing today for A&M. We're going to see these players aren't invested. The swag copter's falling out of the sky.
Wow.
The smoothie bar's gone. The in-house DJ, Johnny Manziel's six-pack is now a beer bet. I think Ole Miss today, they're 5-5. They're average, but the offense isn't average. Ole Miss wins today, and the crumbles start to fall for Kevin Sumlin.
Okay.
I don't know how I can beat the Johnny Manziel comment. That was great. That was one of your better ones. I'll admit that.
That's right.
I'm going to continue my streak of not picking A&M. We'll go ahead and give another thumbs down here. They're both not very good teams. You know, this is not necessarily the most exciting game, but I mean, statistically, A.J. Brown, Ole Miss's receiver, he's a good receiver. A&M secondary is not that impressive. They've got one guy who could probably lock him down, but I'm going to say that Ole Miss is going to pull this one out at home, and I think I'm going to agree with Drake too. Sumlin, see you later, buddy.
Definitely so. And guys, as we're picking all these games, before we get into our ACC matchup, I do have to give props to Ashley Pickle down on the end of the table. I went back and looked through all of the picks this year. Ashley Pickle's 22-3. Picking at the desk.
22-3?
22-3.
Saturdays are for the girls now, man. Saturdays
Unbelievable.
are for the girls.
Drake's right behind with 20 wins as well.
That's a top seed in the NCAA
That's
tournament.
unbelievable. She has been outstanding. Drake's 20-5. Josh, you're right around 500. I'm right around there too.
8 seed.
Dandy, we'll have to see what you can do as a guest picker
with that
today.
FIU pick, I think we know where I'm going.
And moving on from there, let's go NC State at Wake Forest. A real tough matchup in the ACC. A lot of tough games to pick later on in the day. I think Wake Forest is going to win this one out of Winston-Salem. They're at home. I think they're going to take down a ranked NC State team. It's a very quiet Wake Forest team that's secretly good today.
Yeah, I think NC State's just they're too qualified of an opponent. I think NC State they win this game on the road. I know Wake Forest plays good at home, but I think NC State's just a better team overall.
Once again, well said. Well said. I think NC State is a salty dog with the Wolfpack. They played Clemson tough. I don't think you can underestimate NC State. As cute as Wake Forest is, they're not cute enough to win this game.
If you're watching this game on a Saturday night, you need a life, because this is awful. I don't know why you would decide to do this with your life, but NC State's going to win this. Remember a couple weeks back, they maybe should have beaten Clemson. It was a closer game than a lot of people thought. Wake Forest has been really good on offense this year and has quietly been better than we'll give them credit. I think NC State, though, a better team, better defense, wins on the road.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think NC State deserves some credit. They surprised a lot of people. I mean, they've been right around that lower top 25 region, but basically the whole season, ranked number 19 right now. They're going to come in, and I think they'll beat Wake Forest. And not to mention their quarterback. I mean, he's good under pressure. So if it does get close, I think that they're going to pull this out. I agree with Josh. Might want to find something better to watch on your Saturday evening football run.
Like a little North Texas.
Yeah, there you go. The North Texas game. Exactly so. And let's talk about that North Texas game. The Mean Green looking to go undefeated at home for the first time since the 1960s, and a chance to do something that they haven't done since Mean Joe Green was on the roster. They can do that with a win against an 8-2 Army team tonight that they know very, very well. I think North Texas is going to win this game, but I think it's going to be very, very close. I'm going to take a page out of Josh's book. I think it's going to take a Trevor Moore field goal at the end to win this ball game.
This win, we're going to hope that
hopefully it's at his
back.
Because
this
he
is
can handle it.
I think it comes down to one thing. I think everyone agrees. Can you stop the run? And that's easier said than done, just stopping the run. But I think it comes in the first and second down situations. Prevent them from having 3rd and shorts and 4th and shorts to where all they have to get is 2 or 3 yards, because Army will get 2 or 3 yards with this triple option. So you've got to stop them earlier on in the downs. And then if you can do that, if you can somehow slow the run game a little bit, get a couple of punts, you can beat this team. Yeah. It's going to be close. I think North Texas wins, but it's very close.
I know, just to answer the question I know y'all want to ask, I was not at school in 1960s. I know you think I look like it, and I probably do. But to this game, I think it comes down to stops, and I think North Texas needs to get 2 stops in each half. Wow. 2 stops in each half to give themselves a better chance to win. I'm not saying it's going to take it to win, because we've got a shootout brewing here. Army threw the ball 21 times in the regular season meeting last year. North Texas won that game in a glorious matchup. I don't think Army's thrown the ball 21 times since that game. So can North Texas get the stops? I say they do. Go Mean Green, beat Army, North Texas wins.
Well, there we go.
I think this is a game where we're going to see if we can limit the big play. That's what the key is right now. Army is a team that can be explosive at times. Bradshaw has the ability to break through. I haven't picked against North Texas this year. I got a lot of flack last year for always picking the other team. I was right a lot of the time. But I think today, I love Army. I love what they do for our country after this. But they have not played anybody this year, guys. They've only played Ohio State. We give them credit for beating Duke. It's not basketball season yet. We are going to win today convincingly. I think the offense gets off to a good start. You put Army in a deficit, how are they going to come back? They don't throw the football. I think we're going to win today. Hard-nosed game early. North Texas gets the win.
And then, like we said, I've said this. I think just about every block. This is the revenge game right here. We beat them up in West Point. They came down closer to our home turf. Weren't able to pull out the win. They want to see the win. And like Josh said, I have not picked against North Texas this entire year at home. I have done something every single time that has brought luck to this Mean Green team, and I am going to do it right now. Here comes the scrappy head. I'm going North Texas all the way, baby.
North Texas Pickle 5-0 and picking North Texas. Why? Well, they're undefeated at home, and they're going to have that mark on the line again tonight. Dandy Colleen, special thank you for joining us up here at the desk. Good luck in the future. And guys, that's going to do it for one final time here at Apogee Stadium in the 2017 season. For everybody involved in this game day broadcast, for Drake Lawson, Josh Conrad, Ashley Pickle, and our director, Tyler Parrish, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kyle Yeomans, and so long from Gate 4.